Hello everyone. So myself N. Ganapati Kumar, I completed my graduation and post graduation in the field of geography. So today I am here to discuss about the structure and composition of atmosphere. Okay, structure and composition of atmosphere. So this topic will cover in all the classes from 6th to 12th, and even it will cover in UPSC and many competitive examinations. So about the atmosphere. So mainly atmosphere. So this was the upper layer and it will act as a layer and it will simplify in the manner of blanket. So as like that, earth has a blanket, which means atmosphere is the blanket of earth. So the atmosphere consists of the many parts that which are surrounded by the main aspects like dust particles, gases and water vapor. Generally these three combined as atmosphere, which means blanket, and we call simply it called as a blanket. For example, if we take mobile phone, the upper layer means the display which acts represents as the blanket. So it consists of many items which includes micro and macro particles of glass molecules. So here the atmosphere acts as a blankets of the earth. So that is called atmosphere. So here, while coming to the topic, so dust particles. So in dust particles, the suspended material in the air is to be called as dust particles, which includes aerosols, pollens, then volcanic ashes. So here aerosols, which means minute and very minute particles, and pollens, which produced by the pollen grains from the flower, and even volcanic ashes are erupted from volcanoes. When volcanoes erupted, the ash particles which the lava is there, the lava will simplified as in the ashes form. So it will suspended in air, then even can consider as a smoke and some other. Mainly these were the dust particles, and while coming to the gases, gases were the main prominent to living atmosphere even for regeneration of the life. Here there are mainly two types of gases. One is variable gas and second one is permanent gases. Here the variable gases, the term variable, which means variation, means changes. So here not in constant manner. Then while coming to the permanent gases, these were the constant, which called as no changes. So here while coming to the variable gases, these variable gases are the gases which changes its composition. And while coming to the permanent, these are in fixed composition. So here no changes at all in these things. Okay. While coming to the classification, permanent gases and variable gases. So, here permanent gases are the gases which there is no change in their composition, and variable means changes occurs. So, coming to the permanent gases, above all the 100% in which includes permanent and variable, permanent gases includes nitrogen, oxygen, and here CO2 and many other gases like helium, hydrogen and some other. So, while coming to the pie chart, it considered as a 100% where nearly 78% 78% nitrogen and 21% oxygen, and then remaining are variable gases which includes carbon dioxide, helium, hydrogen and some other elements of gases. So, these were the out of 100%, majorly permanent gases includes 99% volume and remaining 1 point something percent of variable gases. This was the gases. Well, coming to the third point, then that is water vapor. So, water vapor means the suspended particle of water, which means the evaporation of water molecules which were suspended in the atmosphere. Generally 99% of water vapor present in below 5 km altitude. Then even it depends on temperature. Mainly the water vapor has due to tendency of temperature at poles it was so less, and while coming to the equator the amount of water vapor is high due to at equator the temperature rises, whereas poles temperature decreases. Due to all these things, at equator the water vapor quantity is very high. Then while coming to the composition structure, okay, so previously we discussed about composition of atmosphere. Now talking about structure. So atmosphere has layers. So the structure deals the layers of atmosphere. Here majorly there are 4 layers mainly, which we call as troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere and thermosphere. Again the thermosphere again divided into ionosphere, then exosphere. Okay, we are going to discuss individually. Okay, then while coming to the troposphere, this troposphere has the altitude of 15 to 16 kilometer from the ground level. At poles it covers nearly 5 to 6 kilometer. Why? Because the earth was bulged at equator. Earth bulges at equator. Have you ever observed that for example, for the structure of earth, we are going to consider the example as egg. So generally egg has the structure as like this. At the middle, the center of mass or center of radius is very high, while coming to the pole it very less. So this was the bulges. So here it will increase as the altitude of the atmosphere level, which called as troposphere. Then it also called as weather layer. The weather layer, which includes the temperature, rainfall, humidity, fog, snow, all these things will cover and accumulated in the troposphere. So here temperature, rainfall, snow, fog and etc. We observe the weather layer as troposphere. Generally the weather layer is also called as troposphere. So note, you have to note this point. Then coming to the stratosphere. This was the second layer and it will covers approximately 26 to 30 kilometer altitude from ground surface or earth layer surface. In this there is no weather phenomena. The temperature were normal. The stratosphere also called as less turbulence and no turbulence zone, which comfortable for flying of aircrafts. Generally the aircrafts, which means aeroplanes and many other airplanes, will travel in this stratosphere. Why? Because there is no temperature inversion and no disturbances, and even clouds, less clouds. This was the stratosphere. So between troposphere and stratosphere there was a small intermediary layer called as tropopause, which means pause. Then while coming to the third one, mesosphere. It was a tall layer and temperature decreases with increasing height. It also called as normal lapse rate. Generally if temperature decreases with increasing height, it called as lapse rate, means there is a differences between the temperature and the height. Why? Because the cold layer, which means high pressure, warm, low pressure. So the low pressure area accumulates the top and the high pressure accumulates the lower, means below. So there was the accumulation. So that's why temperature inversion taking place. So between stratosphere and mesosphere there were stratopause. This was the intermediate layer. Then thermosphere. This was the fourth layer. In this itself, it divided into ionosphere and exosphere. This was the most temperature layer, means high temperature above 2100 Celsius degree Celsius. While coming to the intermediate layers, the ionosphere. The ionosphere, the name itself ions, and the atmosphere, this was the topmost layer rather than that exosphere. In the ionosphere, the ion exchange take place. So, temperature nearly 3000 degrees Celsius and height up to 4000 kilometers from ground level. It shows the changes in, which means sky colors. We can see in polar areas where the sky has different colors due to ion exchange, that is called as Borealis effect, which also called as auroras. Then exosphere, which means outer sphere, also called as outer layer. It beyonds nearly 6000 kilometer and temperature 5000 degrees Celsius above. This was the last stage of atmosphere, last stage and last layer. So, this was the main 4 layers of atmosphere, which is we call as structure of atmosphere. Here troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere. In thermosphere there is ionosphere and exosphere. And coming to the composition, dust particles, gases and water vapor. Dust particles, which means suspended matter, and then gases means there are 2 types of gases, variable gases and permanent gases. Variable means changes and permanent means fixed. In permanent gases, oxygen, nitrogen and argon, which comprises of 99%, and remaining variable gases component of 1%. Then water vapor, 99% of water vapor present in below 5 kilometer altitude, and it will changes due to the temperature inversions. At poles it was very less, at equator it was very high due to the high temperature at equator because of earth bulges equator. Then coming to the structure, tropo, strato and meso. Then the tropopause was the intermediate layer between troposphere and stratosphere, and stratopause was intermediate layer between stratosphere and mesosphere, and here there were mesopause also intermediate layer. This was the intermediate layers, okay, as like that barriers of the sphere. While coming to the temperature, here (20, 0, 20, 40, 60, 80). So it was temperature in Celsius and altitude sorry. So mainly Tropopause, Stratosphere, Stratopause, Mesosphere, Mesopause, then Thermosphere. Actually, it will increases. The height will increases. Okay, not 200 or 500. Just it's an average number. Okay, so it's called altitude in kilometer. Here in tropopause, it was stagnant, and then in stratosphere it was normal. Why? Because no weather phenomena and less turbulence zone, and then in stratopause again increases, in mesosphere decreases and increases again decreases. So there was fluctuation in temperature. So mainly this was the structure and composition of atmosphere, which will cover in all the classes of 6th to 12th standards of CBSE or state board and some other boards examinations. Even it comes mainly as topic as subtopic in climatology in UPSC and many competitive examinations. Hopefully, thank you, and if you have any doubts, please comments below. Thank you.